Whether it's Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, or Singapore, there is nothing quite like Southeast Asian football. Welcome to Jakarta Casual Weekly, bringing you the best football news and action in the region every week. Alright, apologies for being a bit late this week with this edition of the Jakarta Casual Weekly. My excuse is a pretty good one though. This week is Lebaran, it's the end of the fasting month, so there's been other priorities, shall we say, on the table. So we'll start off with Indonesia, as you always do, and they play Iran in their opening game in Tehran. And as you can see here, the Indonesia's record against Iran doesn't really inspire confidence. They played 3, they won none, drawn 1, and they've lost 2, scoring 2 goals in the process. So you've got to say that maybe the stepping out into their Zadi Fit Stadium in Tehran is going to be a bit of a difficult one for Iran, for Indonesia this game. But hey, if they want to get through to the next stage, these are the type of games they've got to get a point from. As you can see, then Indonesia were going to go into this game. They've got 2 wins and 2 draws in the last 5 games, but they lost the last game against Jordan last time out 1-0 in Amman. That's going to be a worry because get their away performances. And against Turkmenistan, they did do their best to try and lose the game. They were 4-2 up, 4-1 up at some stage, and then the Turkmenistanis managed to get a couple of goals late on, which meant that the Indonesian defence was holding squeaky bum time, should we say, for the Indonesian fans. Now, they have said, I have read a quote somewhere saying that they're going to go for the counter-attack in Iran. And, well, if you're going to have Bambang and Gonzalez up front, I'm not sure that's really the best plan because they've hardly got the fastest players in the world. They're going to be without Boa Salasa again. He's upset with management. And he is their option when it comes to pace. The guy's lightning fast. They're also without Ahmed Bustami, it's going to be a big miss. He's out injured and he's been impressive the last several months or so that he's played for Indonesia. He had an impressive AFF Cup last year, and they continued that fine form against Turkmenistan in the World Cup qualifiers. So he's going to be a big miss. But while Indonesia may have a reasonable-ish record going into this game, Iran's is something else. The last 4 games they've won, all 4. They've not conceded a goal. They've beaten the Maldives 5-0 in aggregate, and they beat Madagascar, good name for a movie, 1-0 in a friendly. They beat the Russians 1-0 in a friendly. And the last game they lost was in the Asian Cup when they lost 1-0 against South Korea. So they're going to be on a high, and of course home ground advantage is going to be a big boost for them. It ain't going to be easy for Indonesians at all. Alright, so now it's time to look at Singapore. So ever since following their disastrous AFF Cup last year, Radhi Amramovic, the coach, has been swinging the axe, and some of the big name players like Noel Amshar and Mohammed Ridwan have been dropped from it, and players like Izwan Mahmood and Safwan Baharudin have come in, and let's just say they did really good jobs against Malaysia in the opening game. They were very impressive. Unfortunately, there's still injury problems for Singapore. Hassan is injured. Khairul Amri is injured. Get away. I know that's a bit of a surprise, isn't it? I mean, he gets injured. He sprained his back just opening his bloody wallet, that guy, collecting his win bonuses. But last game out, Mustafic Farudin has been brilliant. Harris has been brilliant as well. Shame they're going to lose him because, of course, he's going to be called up for the national service. I mean, if paid for the Singapore national team is not national service, I really don't know what is. I look at Singapore's last 5 games. They beat Etoile. They beat Chinese Taipei. They beat Malaysia 5-3. They drew with Malaysia in the away leg. And they drew 0-0 up in Thailand in the friendly last week. So they're on a good run of form, except for that game at Etoile. But hey, it's difficult to find friendlies that time of year. And they're on a good run of form. They're going to play the game in Kunming in southwest China. And surprise, actually, they reckon they're going to be about 30 Singaporean fans following the team, which is pretty damn impressive, considering normally I think 2 guys went to Vietnam last year. So for 30 to go to Kunming, it's become the new thing to follow the Singapore national team, and that's good to see. It's a long trip, especially during the holidays, so let's see how the Lions get on. To be honest, under Radhi Amramovic, I think they've probably got the best chance of getting a result. I'm not sure what China like on the national stage, but Abramovich has been there, done that. He's got a lot of experience in the team, and if they get it right on the day, I think they're the one team who can get a result at the weekend. All right, let's finish up with the Thais then. Not the best record in recent games, is it? Struggling to score their goals. 1-0 against Myanmar, 1-0 Myanmar, 1-0 Palestine, 2-2 away to Palestine, and 0-0 at home to Singapore. Obviously, goals are the problem there. Without Tirasil, who seems to be off form at the moment, Pipat seems to have fallen from the race, and Tiratip, God knows what's happened to Tiratip over the last several months or so. All eyes instead for the Thais will focus on the Bangkok Glass striker, Saray Chaikamdi, who's pictured there playing for Thai Port last year. A different style of play with this guy, maybe, but that's where the goals have got to come from for the Thais. As for the Australians, well, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Australian football, to be honest with you. I spent many years living down there, many years ago, back in the old NSL days, and I used to go to the Sydney Football Stadium to see internationals, and I guess things have changed a bit since then. Not much of a crowd in that game. I think that's Israel against Chinese Taipei, or it may even be New Zealand. I've forgotten now, but certainly had a good laugh going to games there. This is Australia playing Gothenburg in 1988 at the Parramatta Stadium, and much has changed in Central Australia, but fond memories of my time down under. And so this is a difficult game for me to call, really, Australia against Thailand. 12 years of my life devoted to these countries, but Australia, they've got almost two teams now. They've got the European-based team, and they've also got the team based in Australia, and of course they've got a fair few players based in Southeast Asia. But let's think about the Thais. They've struggled to find friendlies. I mean, that's a big problem for them, and I think maybe that's one of the reasons why Steve Darby and Brian Robson were happy to leave the club earlier in the year. There's no games were organised. They were going into tournaments like the AFF Cup last year, the SEA Games before that, and even the World Cup qualifiers this year, and they got nothing really prepared. At the last minute, they got this game against Singapore, which was a 0-0. 2 games against Myanmar played over in Buriram is not really the ideal preparation. It looks like they played it over a space of 24 hours as well. And come on, Buriram, international football, do me a favour. It's pandering to a certain political figure there, I think. But other Thais got enough in the locker to get a result in Australia. That remains to be seen. There you have it. 3 very difficult games for the teams from our region. The Thais have got the flair. The Singaporeans have got the experience and the know-how. The Indonesians bring unpredictability to the table. Which of the 3 countries, after the first 2 games, is going to have the flag flying high? I've got to say, I think my money is going to be slightly on the Singaporeans at the moment. If Radhi Abramovich gets things right on the field, they're going to be the toughest ones to beat. Indonesia, too many uncertainties, and Bambang and Gonzalez up front, I think they need a bit more pace than that, I think. And the Thais need the pace, they need the goals, don't they? So if anybody's going to come out of these 2 games with a head held high, my money's on Singapore at the moment. All right, I think that'll do for today. We've looked at those games. Next week's Jakarta Casual Weekly will also come late, probably on Wednesday, because next week, of course, we have on Tuesday there's a second game of the World Cup qualifier. So hopefully I'm going to see Indonesia, Bahrain, if they don't move the bloody game to solo. Also next week we'll try and get a preview of the Malaysia Cup, which kicks off next weekend. But until then, I'm gagging for a beer, and I really do think that is your bloody lot.